So you want to take fashion editorial photos, but you don't know quite where to start, right? You're not sure what kind of lighting to use, what kind of vibe, how to do the thing, right? In today's video, I wanted to give you 10 tips that you can use in your everyday shoots in studio with natural lighting to get amazing fashion editorial photos. Super simple with just your camera and a subject. So let's get into it. Blech. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Once Upon a Time, the greatest channel on YouTube if you enjoy bird watching, or washing. You know, we do everything here. We love birds. But anyways, guys, here we're in Brooklyn, New York, once again. This is one of my favorite studios to use. I mean, just look at the lighting. It's beautiful here. We got a nice view of the parking lot, I guess. You know, one thing that people always ask me is, how do you go about making these editorial looking photos without, I guess, the editorial lights and all of that fancy stuff that people normally show when they're doing editorial photo shoots? And the truth is, I have been at it for a long time, right? So it's been kind of a process of learning, doing, and messing up, and just kind of going about. Today I wanted to talk about 10 things that I use in all my portraits in order to just get great images. So let's introduce you to the model, show you the space, and let's get into tip number 1. All right, guys, I am here with our amazing model,
Isabel Canales.
And Isabel, can you tell me a little bit about what kind of modeling do you do and maybe what the vibe is for today's shoot?
I do more lifestyle, carts, and beauty modeling, but for today's shoot, we're doing more editorial and just a portfolio update, new hair.
That's right. Look, show them the bangs. Look at that. She's banging. All right, let's get into it. Tip numero uno, and probably the most important one, and that is to actually think about what you're going to shoot, what you're aiming for in this photo shoot that you're doing, right? So for example, before all my photo shoots, and if you watch my videos, you know I talk about it, but mood boarding is very important, sending inspo to your subject, kind of getting an idea of what the vibe is for the photo shoot, right? And that also means the location, right? Where are you gonna be shooting? Where does the vibe that you have in mind actually work at, right? So a lot of times, and you'll see all these studios that I use, I actually use a website called peerspace.com. This is not a sponsorship. I genuinely use them all the time because there's studios all over the city here in New York, and you can just book them for like 2 hours at a time, and you know, that's usually how I do my photo shoot. So think about what you're gonna do, mood board, make sure you have a list of things that you wanna get through, and also think of ideas for outfits for the models as well, because you can have a pose, but if you don't have the clothing for that pose, it doesn't quite make sense, right? You know, it's just one of those things you kind of have to think about. Just put an hour of your day into it before your shoot, and you should be perfectly fine. Another tip is to prioritize your wardrobe. What do I mean by that? Usually a lot of people think that you can just wear regular everyday clothes for photo shoots, which sometimes is the case for stuff like lifestyle, or if you're doing a product photo shoot where you just have regular everyday clothing, you know. But whenever you want to do some editorial, you got to find pieces that have a little something special about them, whether that's the color, the texture, whether if it's flowy or structured, you know, it has a different silhouette than your regular clothing. It's also very important. So whenever you're shopping around with your model, or you're talking to your model about what kind of clothing to bring, you should honestly look at stuff that's just fun and out there, and just have a little something different about it in order to just enhance your portraits that much more. So today we have a lot of clothes here, actually. I'm gonna show them off. Look at you hiding. So we have a lot of options here for clothes to pick from, which should be great for the shoot. So tip number 3 is to use windows as your hero light, which means just placing your subject near it, because I mean, look at this. Natural light has such a natural fall off, you know, obviously. But as you can see here, we have this space on this side of my face really lit up, and the shadows kind of run off really nicely on the left side. And what's cool also, if you have a big white room like this one, is you have all of this bounce that fills in all of this space. If we had something like a negative bounce like this wall here, and I was standing next to it, you see how it gets a lot darker than when I'm just standing over here. The light hits different. So use windows to place your subject, obviously in a smart way. You don't want to have them like directly in front of it, because then there's no depth. You want to kind of have it at like a 45-degree angle. So just think about that when you're shooting. Try not to think straight forward, think angles, right? 45 degrees, not straight on me here. Do you think maybe if you lean them, like if you lean your head against the wall?
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I'll just not move.
Yeah, you don't move. All right, let's see. Which one has the best base? Probably this one here. Oh yeah, we're getting there. Okay, you have to be like, oh, this is dangerous. You might die. Perfect. And just give me, oh, the whole point of this is to try new things, right? Adding props. Now, props are like my bread and butter. I love props. I'm a big prop guy. You've seen it all over if you've been following for a while, but I like to use fruits, I like to use anything that shouldn't be on somebody's body for a photo shoot. I like to use. And in today's case, we're actually trying something different. We're doing vegetables. Tomato's a vegetable, right? Okay, yeah, it's a vegetable. It's the seed, right? That's what makes it a vegetable, if they have a seed. Okay, you know, just try different things. I like to use fruits, but maybe your thing is using like car parts. I don't know, just don't put a car on like somebody's head, and you should be fine. But that's what I mean, just something that adds a little bit of pop of color that kind of contrasts the outfit. So if the outfit is very pale, very mundane as far as the colors go, because obviously we talked about the silhouettes and everything like that, you have to be able to just add a little bit of pop. So something red is always good, something blue to something white is always good. So keep that in mind. Let's shoot. Another tip is directing micro poses. What does that mean? So this is a pose. A micro pose is like just moving the hand a little bit, or maybe shifting the head or where it's facing. That's something that you see me do a lot, because I feel like normally models know kind of what they feel comfortable doing and what they look good doing, in order to kind of make sure that they're comfortable and that you're getting a good shot. Let's say they do a pose and you love it, but you just want to change a tiny bit about it. You can just say, hey, do you mind just like moving your chin a little bit, or moving your hand this way, or doing this or that? So that always helps kind of make the photo shoot go a lot smoother and get better shots. So just think about that. Try not to force a pose, right? It's kind of what I'm getting at. Just work your way slowly out of it or through it in order to get what you want. Another tip is to shoot wide and macro shots or medium shots of every outfit you do. That's kind of what editorial is, right? Because sometimes you have details that the people don't regularly see, like a button on a shirt or a prop or a certain thing that you just want to stand out. So make sure to get all of your angles covered. Get the wide shot of the full body, get the medium shot, the close up, and everything in between. It just makes the photo shoot look so much smoother, and you have so many more options to pick from. So make sure to do that at your shoots. Just kind of take your time, take an extra 2 minutes to get the close up or the all the way out portrait where you can see everything. Because sometimes as photographers, we have this shot in mind and we stick to it. You have to be able to let go of that and kind of go in and out of the photo and kind of see all of the things and angles that you can, because you never know where you're gonna find something good. Always show them the mask. It's a Red Riding Hood. Let's do it. Style the environment, not just the model. So in a lot of cases when it comes to shooting, I feel like we tend to keep it really simple, right? And especially me, because that's kind of my style. I like center frames. I like really easy stuff to do. But sometimes that's why I pick spaces like this, because it gives me the ability to play with my environment. And for example, something as simple as just the floor here that looks a little dilapidated. Oh, that's a big word. Harvard. I went to art school, guys. Decorating your environment can be also as simple as using props around it, or just keeping it simple around here, basically is what I'm saying. You should play around, move chairs around. We have all like this rock, so we could potentially use that, but we used that for our last photo shoot, so I don't want to do it for this one. Embrace the in-between moments. What that means is let it breathe, you know? Don't be so go in your photo shoots. It's more about a vibe. An editorial is all about unscripted moments and just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. So what I mean by that is also shoot in between poses, right? Whenever the model's changing from one pose to the other, maybe take a photo there, because that might be something interesting you can work with. Adjust the clothing, adjust the hair, adjust little things like that. That's what it is all about, just trying out, because something as small as a color being popped a little more can completely change your image. So, you know, take your time with your photo shoots. Don't try to rush through them. Even if you do have a studio for a certain amount of time, make sure you get what you need to get and don't just shoot for the sake of getting out of there on time, right? Because at the end of the day, it's better to have 10 great images than 1,000 okay photos, right? It is also very important to add layers to your set. What do I mean by that? So normally in the scheme of what it means normally in photography is having some foreground or background, like maybe a plant here that like kind of frames the subject, or something like, you know, on the edge of the frame that you can kind of see. Imagine my hand was a plant, right? It also can be used in different ways. Like for example, we have these marbles here that we're going to be playing with, just putting them on the floor and kind of focusing on them instead of the model, or just having them there as a prop for the model to play with, can also add a lot of value to the image. So, you know, think about it that way. It doesn't necessarily, when people say adding layers to your photos, they don't necessarily mean literally. It could also be more of a prop use for that event too, because a lot of times people think of plants, frames, windows to use as framing devices, but it can also just be as literal or as creative as props and using them in different layers of the frame. And last but not least is edit with consistency, not perfection. When you edit with perfection, you will change every single photo that you edit, right? Because you end up, the slight light changes in every single scene or every single post can become a challenge, but sometimes we try to over edit some photos more than others, and it kind of ends up making it not look cohesive next to the other images. So when you edit, kind of have a preset in mind, or like edit one photo really well and then paste that onto the rest of them and see how it works within obviously the set of the photos and adjust accordingly, but don't overdo it for every photo. You know, the whole point of editorial is for it to feel like it's one long storyline of images that together sort of tell a story. So guys, overall, the whole point of these tips is for you to use them, because a lot of times we forget about these things. Eventually they become nature, like natural nature, as you do it more and more. For now, we have to kind of just get into it and learn it and actually do it and go out of our way. What I do is sometimes I even write a list down of things that I want to make sure I remember, that I just pop in between shoots and between photo shoots, just so I know, okay, I gotta remember this, otherwise this is gonna happen, you know, whatever. The whole point is to just be creative. Once again, like all of these videos, just go out there, create, try new things, and eventually you will develop a great style and you will make some editorial photos that are gonna blow Instagram's mind away, the website's mind away, and you can get big prints of it on your house. So guys, thank you so much. Let's get out of here. All right guys, that was it for the video. Shout out to Isabel for being an amazing model. Here's her Instagram if you guys want to follow her. Make sure to like, subscribe if you like this video. And next time I see you, I'm going to plug 55 batteries into my nipples and see how much I can take. See you next week.